Located on the old road from Bourges to Tours, the site was certainly a strategic place for crossing the Cher, which, in the Gallo-Roman era, was located at the current location of the Berry Canal. It was at the end of the 6th century that the daughter of Clotaire founded the village by establishing a monastery there. It still seemed to exist in 813 if we are to believe the state of the priory of Mennetou drawn up in the 18th century. The Norman invasions of the 9th and 10th centuries were fatal to the monastery. The name Mennetou comes from this Merovingian building, Monastellum, small monastery, Moneto, Monesto, Mennetou, then Mennetou with double N, included in the province of Berry, which extended to the north well beyond the Cher. Mennetou belonged in the 10th century to the House of Vierzon, vassal of the Count of Chartres and Blois. The subjugation of Humboldt-le-Tortu, who founded La Ferte-en-Bauge to the Count of Blois and Chartres, brought Mennetou into the fold of the House of Blois-Champagne. In 1212, Hervé de Vierzon fortified the city to defend it against English attacks led by John Lackland against Philip II Augustus. Despite its modest size, 350 meters long and 250 meters wide, the structure proved effective. It wasn't until 1356, during the 100 Years' War, that Mennetou fell into the hands of the English under the Black Prince. The city was liberated by Du Guesclin's army in 1370. 2 centuries later, Claude de la Châtre de la Maisonfort attempted to capture the city, which was then Protestant, but was unsuccessful. Established in the 13th century, and placed under the authority of the Benedictine Abbey of Beaumont-les-Tours, the Priory of Mennetou received significant endowments over the centuries, reaching its peak in the 17th century. It consisted of the priory's apartments, now ruins, dormitories, workshops, and refectory. The main part of the building extended southward for about 25 meters, adjoining the castle, now the location of the Auberge de la Tour. Nestled against the wall, the 16 small Benedictine rooms overlooked the inner city only. With the religious revival of the 17th century, the Benedictines found themselves in need of more space. In the spring of 1663, work was undertaken to expand the dormitory and renovate various rooms. By 1686, the Benedictines had acquired ownership of the castle, and their convent extended from the priory tower to the gate below. Their domain then encompassed a quarter of the town, including the church, whose small nave to the south served as a chapel for the nuns. The property's description at the time of its sale as national property in 1791 indicated an advanced state of disrepair, evidence of the convent's actual poverty in the late 18th century. On the eve of the Revolution, Mennetou was under the jurisdiction of the Generality of Orleans, the election of Romorantin, and the Archdiocese of Bourges. Count Henry Francois Thibault de la Carte, also known as the Count of La Ferte-Senator, who was a colonel of the Parish Infantry Regiment and Baron of Dolcet and Sigano in Berry, ensured the security of its 645 inhabitants and its approximately 4,570 hectares of Mennestois land. Being situated far from Paris, Mennetou was not subjected to revolutionary violence and looting. However, grievances were documented during this time. The assembly, consisting of 51 members responsible for compiling the grievances, convened on March 1, 1789, under the leadership of Gabriel Guillaume Brenet, the fiscal prosecutor of the justice and castellary of Mennetou. The excerpts from the records of complaints indicate the people's aspiration to engage in governing the state and to shape their own future. In 1870, France initiated a war against Germany, despite the latter having superior forces. Following the disastrous Battle of Sedan and the defeat of the Loire armies, the surrender of Paris marked the end of hostilities. However, France endured 2 years of occupation by enemy forces. Mennetou seems to have been relatively unaffected by this occupation, as there is no mention of it in the minutes of the municipal council meetings from that time. Similarly, there are no records of requisitions for cereals or food supplies. Mennetou, like the entire country, faced labor shortages due to mobilization during World War I, especially in the agricultural sector. Women took on the responsibility of managing farms, with assistance from children and men who were not mobilized. 34 children from Mennetou tragically lost their lives during the war. Between January 29, 1939 and February 8, over 3,100 Spanish refugees fleeing the collapse of the Spanish Republic before Franco's regime arrived in Mennetou-sur-Cher. Due to insufficient reception facilities, the stud farms of Mennetou-sur-Cher were notably used. 47 villages were involved, including Mennetou-sur-Cher. The refugees, mainly comprising women and children, underwent strict quarantine measures, received vaccinations, and had limited access to mail. Although the food provided was not very diverse and prepared in the French style, it was nonetheless ensured. In the spring and summer, the refugees were relocated to Boisbrol in the commune of Boisseau. During the Second World War, Mennetou-sur-Cher was on the demarcation line. The medieval fortification was constructed in the early 13th century during the reign of Philippe II and under the lordship of Herve de Vierzon. From this era, the village preserves 3 square entrance gates, 3 round defensive towers, and remnants of the surrounding wall. These defensive structures have been designated as historic monuments. Volunteers from the Chantiers Histoire et Architecture Medievales Association participated in their restoration between 2011 and 2019. The streets and alleys of the village, with picturesque names such as Rue des Trois, Denfert et de Paradis, etc., are bordered by houses dating from the 15th and 16th centuries, some of which are recognized as historic monuments, such as the Maison Francoise. The village still boasts its tithe barn in Angevin Gothic style from the 13th century, as well as a portion of the Benedictine priory established in 1206. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video and want to see more content like this, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a download. We appreciate your support.